Today, we're going to talk about weight training and why weight training as an exercise form is so important for women in perimenopause and menopause. It's important to do even before that. But I mean, this is kind of like where you really, really need to sort of wake up and start doing it. So I have 10 reasons or benefits of weight training for women in perimenopause and beyond. And we'll start with the ones that probably interest you the most that are addressing the current pain points you are having. And the first is you probably noticed that you're losing muscle tone and getting weaker. And what is going to fix that? It is to start building muscle and building up your strength. And that is exactly what weight training does. And here I want to say that it is systematic weight training where you are applying progressive overload. I want to remind you, if you are new here, that just picking up weights is not going to necessarily build muscle. There is a science to it, and following a systematic program and progressively overloading is the way to go. All right, so let's get into the 10 benefits of weight training. And actually, this is a really tough list to make because, yeah, there are different ways to look at the different things. But here we go. So, number one is improved body composition. So, what does that mean? Right now, probably what you've noticed is that you have lost muscle tone and gained body fat, right? So, that is a body composition of having more fat, less muscle. When you start weight training, what you are doing is you are building muscle. So you start to bring more muscle onto the table that makes you start to look more toned. So that's one piece of looking more toned is that you have more muscle on your body. Then the other piece of looking more toned is losing some of that body fat, some subcutaneous fat, which is hanging out between your muscle and your skin. And that is something that you will be able to achieve through doing a little bit of a calorie deficit. So, improving your body composition is a huge benefit of weight training. Second thing is decreasing visceral fat. So, visceral fat is that fat that you have around your midsection and it's in between your organs and it makes your pants feel tighter, your waist has gotten bigger, and it is a consequence of estrogen decreasing in your body. Your body starts to shift the fat stores around and it moves your fat into visceral fat stores. And that kind of sucks. That's one of the things that women really, really complain about is they're getting this belly fat, this meno belly. And what weight training does when you are lifting heavy weights, not these tiny weights that you go into group fitness classes and you're feeling the burn, but when you start systematic strength training and applying progressive overload and lifting heavy for you, it actually triggers your body to start using that visceral fat. And that way you can start to lose it. Okay, and number three should kind of go without saying is that when you're strength training, you increase your strength. And that is useful for doing everything around the house. So your muscles actually get stronger because they're growing and they're learning how to lift heavier things. So they're going to get stronger. But in addition to your muscles, your ligaments and your tendons, which get weaker as estrogen walks out the door, they are stimulated to get stronger as well because your tendons and your ligaments get stressed, i.e., they have like pressure put on them when you're lifting weights. And when pressure gets put on them, then your body's response is that, hey, I need to make this stronger and more resilient to handle this pressure that Lynn is getting on her body. And therefore, those areas get stronger as well. So strength training, like the actual exercise of strength training, gets not only your muscles, but also your tendons and your ligaments stronger. And by the way, one of the other things, number 4, is it helps your muscles to contract more strongly. This is another thing that happens as estrogen walks out the door is that your contraction, like your muscles change in how strongly they can contract. And when you're lifting heavy for you, you are retraining your muscles, your body basically, to be able to get that kind of strong contraction out of your muscles so that you can open those jar lids, so that you have some power to boost yourself onto a bench or into a bus or whatever it may be that you need to do. So that strong contraction, this is something that's not talked about very many places. I don't hear about it on social media, but that is one of the things that changes with the menopause process is that your ability to contract your muscles gets weaker and strength training gets that back for you. All right, and then number 5 is bone density. Now, this is a big one because osteoporosis is a scary thing, and probably you haven't even given it much thought. But the fact is that our bones, our bone density, is at its highest level in our 20s. And when we hit about age 30, our bone density starts to decline. And the decline is gradual, it's about 0.4% per year. Okay, that's still not great to be like getting less and less dense bones because you need those bones to be strong. Now, when you hit those years right around age 50, that decline in bone strength increases tenfold. So 10 times faster you are losing your bone density. If you imagine that your bones are like a container that has little amounts of bone tissue. Imagine it's like filled with beads, right? I mean, this is just a visualization. But imagine that those beads are taken out at a certain rate. So there's a lot more just air in there. It's going to be much more brittle. And then around menopause, they take them out 10 times faster. You have a huge decline in your bone density around menopause. And weight training has been shown to be able to increase bone density even post menopause. So, really, really important. And it has to do the same kind of mechanism as what I talked about with the tendons and the ligaments, that because they are feeling the additional strain that you're putting on them when you're doing the weight training, then the bones start to respond. Your body says, hey, wait a second, my bones are getting tugged on harder, so I better make them stronger so they can withstand being tugged on. And therefore, your body starts to make your bones stronger again. And I recommend that you train, of course, your whole body, but focusing also on things that are training your lower body, your legs, your leg bones, and your pelvic bone, your hip bone. Those are really important to keep strong. So, doing lower body exercises, doing glute exercises are important for that. It's been estimated that over 40% of women will experience a bone fracture after menopause. So, this is not a joke. It is very likely that you will break a bone if your bones are not strong. I mean, most of these people have not been weight training. Most women are not weight training or doing anything to keep their bones stronger. And hip fractures, for example, are associated with a 15 to 20% higher risk of mortality in the year after you fracture your hip. So that is huge, right? You think about like you fall, you break a hip, and that could be the end of it for you, right? So please take that seriously as well. And it's a great benefit of weight training. Okay, we're up to number 6, and that is that weight training is a great way to maintain joint health. So you may be noticing your knees are not so happy, elbows, shoulders, whatever. and especially knees. So, super important. Of course, if you do have age related wear and tear injuries and all those kinds of things, please do consult your doctor, physical therapist, or orthopedic surgeon, some specialist before you get started. There may be certain exercises that they recommend more, or certain things that they tell you you shouldn't be doing. But generally, I would say that you can work with your aging body. There are so many exercises out there that you can do. Even when I couldn't bend my knee, I found exercises that I could do to keep my leg muscles, my glute muscles strong and functional as I slowly worked back to being able to bend my knee properly. Number 7. So prevents frailty and functional decline. You may have noticed that it's not so fun to carry in the groceries anymore, or maybe you're having trouble picking up your son's hockey bag or the suitcase, putting it on the conveyor belt. You're asking for the red cap to help you when you're traveling. Well, this is decline that is happening already, and we have decades to go. Do you want to be dependent on other people, or do you want to be able to manage on your own? And by the way, it affects things that you wouldn't even think of. Like, for example, being able to cross the street before the light changes. I mean, have you ever seen an old person who's like really struggling to get across the street? I mean, imagine how stressful that is for them, that they know that, oh my God, if I cross the street, that car's going to have to wait, or I'm not going to make it across. It's going to turn red before I get there. A lot of the frailty comes from their muscles just not being powerful enough. Your glute muscles are important for you to be able to stand upright and to be able to propel yourself forward faster. So, big glutes ain't just to fill out your jeans, though that's nice too. Number 9 is something that you maybe haven't thought of or even known about. They have now studied that different types of exercising does have an effect on your mood. And weight training is one that has been associated with alleviating depression. Now, I'm not saying that skip going to therapy or stop taking your antidepressants, but it can really help to elevate your mood to go strength training. And number 9 is just the way you feel when you are strength training. So many women think, oh, I'm not really the lifting type. And then they start lifting and they're like, wow, it just feels so good. You just feel kind of badass out there, lifting, being strong, in control of those weights, pushing yourself. It really makes you feel, I don't know, it's very hard to describe, but it is an amazing benefit. Gives you some confidence, better posture, all the things. Plus, you look a little nicer in your clothes too. Okay, and number 10. Now, this is one that you probably haven't really heard much about because it is more technical, biological. And this is reversed mitochondrial aging. Now, you can think of the mitochondria as tiny power plants in your cells that produce the energy that you need to do everything. So, moving, thinking, breathing. And what happens is that as we age, these little power plants become less efficient. And that's one reason that we feel more tired, that our metabolism slows down. But what strength training does is it's like a tune up for these little power plants. And it helps your body to create more of them and make them work better. So, what that means for you, kind of in your daily life, is that you have more energy, more muscle endurance, improved recovery, and reduced risk of metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes. So, actually, you'll not only feel stronger and more energetic, but you'll be better equipped to take on life. So, whether that's hitting the gym or keeping up with your family or thriving in your busy day to day. Now, given all that, Isn't it the year to really actually get started? Add the weight training to your life. Because what happens if you don't do it? Remember that too. If you don't weight train, if you don't start strengthening your muscles, you'll get weaker. If you're not weight training, your ligaments and your tendons, they will get weaker. Your joints will start not functioning quite as well. You will become less equipped to handle everyday life. If you get sick, it's going to be harder for you to recover because what small amount of muscle that you have is going to be taxed by not moving, and it's going to be harder to get back up and going. So having a strong body is not only about like looking great, which is amazing, but it's also about getting through life better and preparing for aging and maybe illness that comes up ahead and being able to survive that better. And every day that you wait, your body is getting weaker. I mean, I hate to sound alarmist, but that is the fact. It doesn't stop declining. Your muscles every single day, a little bit weaker, your bone density, a little bit weaker. So just stop that. Get started weight training. And it doesn't take much. Twice a week of following a progressive weight training program, and you will halt the decline and start to get stronger, get your bones stronger, get your joints and ligaments stronger, and start feeling stronger. And with that, I leave you till next week. I wish you happy training.